I'm a millennial. That means I'm behind in life. I got married at 30, I had my first child at 34, and I don't own a house yet. At my age, my parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles already had their full family formed, they had their properties, and they had their lives figured out. Now, I know it's not all millennials. Some people are doing great. Some 35-year-olds already have a house, a family, an SUV, a golden retriever, $200,000 in the S&P 500. But those people are ahead of the curve. Most millennials are screwed, and research shows that. And also, some people get it a little harder than others. For example, I'm a millennial, and I was born in a third world country. So that means I spent about as much as the down payment of a house to get out of that country to another one with better opportunities and not like 15% interest rates or prohibitive inflation. So be aware, some people are not ahead of the curve. It's how curves work. Okay, I'm not making this up though. I wish I was, but yeah, research shows that even though our generation is making more money than previous generations, except Gen X, those bastards, we tend to be less wealthy, have less assets, less children than our parents and grandparents. Even though they got married younger, had way more children, and made less money. Plus, we are more depressed, tired, fat, and you name it. We got caught up with rising cost of living, recessions, a pandemic, and really just the whole culture of go to college. Go into debt to go to college. Find what you love to do and do it in a cubicle for the rest of your life in corporate America. Live in a huge city in an apartment the same size as your cubicle. Don't you dare have kids. Kids are bad. They are a burden, which quite frankly, it's a big fat lie. If you, like me, realized, perhaps too late, that this whole system is rotten and our generation is heavily paying for it, then consider subscribing to my channel. It's my life purpose now to find a way out of this ordeal. And of course, report back so you can find your way out as well. First of all, let's get one thing out of the way. When I say system, I do not mean capitalism, okay? Capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than the goodwill of any socialist or all socialists in world history. Data shows, like Javier Milei, president of Argentina, says, the graph of world GDP is something like a hockey stick. It went pretty much flat for 1,800 years. And then with industrialization and capitalism, it went like this. It's crazy and it keeps going. So quit embarrassing yourself as a 30-year-old and blaming every single problem in capitalism. The alternative to it has been proven over and over and over to be nothing but a catastrophe. So now that we have established this common ground, let's move on. What I want to do in this video is go over some of the issues that our generation is going through and propose one solution. Just one simple solution that I believe has the power to save us. I'm not here just to complain. I want to contribute, okay? Number one issue, housing prices in relation to wages. Now, since we're talking about graphs, the graph for housing prices in relation to wages, it's pretty much a trend worldwide. It goes something like, here, my right hand is housing prices, okay? And my left hand is wages. So it goes something like this. So wages stayed pretty much the same over time, and housing skyrocketing. In the UK, in the US, you have to check out Canada. Look at this video. I can't speak for other places. I know there are multiple factors, but in Canada, at least in the last 8 years, 10 years, it has been a mix of heavy immigration, which, makes demand goes to the sky high, and also heavy regulation, which makes it harder for developers to build houses, and it makes it harder and makes supply not keep up with demand. There are other factors as well. So it's a big disaster for anyone who didn't get a chance to buy a house in 2001 when we were 13 years old. What were you doing when you were 13? Were you playing video games? Big mistake, huh? And you may say, well, you're an immigrant, so you're part of the problem. And sure, yeah, I guess I am. But I'm just one individual. And really what I did, I legally immigrated and I responded to an incentive. Canada's government was big on incentivizing people from outside the country to come, take residence, make a living, and, make Canada your home. I responded to that incentive. And here we are. Like me, many, many, many people did. Think of the world like a market. There are places where it's disadvantageous to live. And so if you have some other place with better institutions, more stability, and they are making it easier for people from crappy places to move to that place, of course, people will take advantage of that. And that's how things work. Issue number 2, taxes. I don't know at what point in history did someone think that it was okay to pay half your income in taxes, nearly half, even like 1/4 of your income, like 25%, is already a lot. Here we are. That's the one thing that salaried person, an employee, cannot control. You're taxed on your income. When you own a business and you have investments, there are ways that you can escape prohibitive taxing. Not employees though. If you're an employee, you get a big raise. The government gets a big raise. Third issue, low birth rates. Our generation is perhaps directly responsible for declining birth rates. And after everything that we talked about so far, can you blame us? Birth rates in multiple countries, perhaps like in most parts of the world, are falling below replacement levels. Replacement levels are 2.1 children per woman. Many places are way below that, like South Korea, it's kind of like 0.5 or 0.8 or something. It's crazy. Like, your population is disappearing. Why is this an issue? Less children are born, more people are getting older, the workforce is shrinking. A shrinking workforce is responsible for carrying all the elderly population. So this demographic shift puts immense pressure on social services, healthcare, and pension systems. Not to mention, a reduced workforce can impact economic growth. Since you have fewer people available to drive productivity, consumption, innovation, economic growth will maybe start dropping. That can be catastrophic for humanity. Elon Musk is one of the people that are most vocal about it because, yeah, this is a long-term threat to humanity. Now, I do want to say, though, I've heard all my life that human beings are a threat to the planet because we are too many. But overpopulation is a blatant lie. And one of its proponents, Paul Ehrlich, is the reason why people like you and me repeat things like human beings are a cancer to the planet, or I won't have children because the planet doesn't need any more humans. And we say these things without even thinking about them. That's how propaganda works. No base in facts, just repeating a lie over and over because our brains didn't evolve to differentiate the truth from repetition or familiarity. You should know this guy, Paul Ehrlich, and the Zero Population Growth movement. They are one of the reasons why so many of us millennials are They are the reason why so many of us millennials are childless now. The truth is, humans are not evil aliens. We're part of this planet. We're animals. Like my cat there. We're allowed to exist, and we need more of us to continue to have progress, to drive up economy, to evolve and make life better for everyone and the planet. Don't fall for the zero population growth propaganda. That's dumb. Like, you want your own species to be extinct? Fourth issue, problems with having children when you're older. Now, for those of us who are not childless, who decide on having children, we're having them when we're older, in our 30s, late 30s, sometimes our 40s. Sometimes that's more than our reproductive systems can bear. I saw a fertility specialist in Diary of a CAO, link below, Dr. Natalie Crawford. She says that after 35 years old, women's ability to conceive drops by half every year, not to mention the quality of our eggs. The same goes to men, even though in theory can still reproduce forever. The quality of their sperms also drops. Therefore, if you even get lucky enough to be able to get pregnant, you probably only have time and resources to have just one child or two, which is way less than previous generations. Moreover, having kids when you're older, it's not ideal. It means that you're probably not going to be around a long time. You may be gone when your kid is too young. You may not live to see your grandkids, certainly not your great-grandkids, and that's sad. It's paradoxical how we peak in fertility when we are just dumb, just way too immature and financially inept to have them. And when we have the most potential emotionally and resource-wise, our fertility is just dropping to the ground. How do we make it more affordable, sustainable, desirable for 20-year-olds to get married and start their families earlier? That's the million-dollar question. Fifth issue, the two-income household trap. In Elizabeth Warren's book, The Two-Income Trap, she talks about how what was once seen as a smart financial strategy, having two parents work instead of just one, actually ended up being the norm. And instead of making people more financially secure because you have two incomes, not just one, now sometimes not even two incomes will allow you to make ends meet. How did that happen?
Family didn't get financially safer. The family got riskier. So as prices are shooting up, prices for homes in suburbs, for example, what's happening is women, mothers, were increasingly going back to work to try to hit the target, to try to find a way to pay that mortgage. And what happened? The prices shot up, more of them went to work, the prices shot up again, more of them went to work, and they got caught in a trap that no one foresaw.
So back in the day, the idea was that if both parents worked, they could pull in more money and get ahead. But here's the kicker. The cost of living skyrocketed in response. Housing, healthcare, education, you name it. Everything got more expensive. And suddenly, having two incomes just allows family to stay afloat, or barely. The worst part? Now families can't even afford to live without two parents working. And if one person wishes to stay home with the kids, they're facing serious financial struggles, which is sad. That means we had to outsource childcare and education. And you can say all you want, but it's counterintuitive, to say the least, to leave your small child to the care of a stranger. Now, in her book, Elizabeth Warren gives some reasons for that, something about credit and interest rates expansion and deregulation. It's a 2003 book. At the time, in her research, she didn't find, apparently, that consumerism was one of the reasons for that to be happening, because according to her, clothing and eating out and those kind of consumer expenses were less expensive in the 2000s compared to the 1980s. But I don't know, like 20 years later now, I don't know if that's still the case. We do spend a lot of money on things that we don't need. Of course we do. Like, consumer marketing research is so advanced, and with the internet and the ability to buy things with just one click, I'm sure consumption is responsible for some of that too. Some people blame feminism too, like for getting women out of the house to work. But Elizabeth's answer to that, and I think it's really fair. Well, feminism couldn't predict this. Nobody was able to predict this. So I don't think this was the intention of the feminist movement, to have cost of living skyrocketing. And the fact is, whatever the reasons for this ordeal is, now 1 + 1 does not equal 2 anymore. It equals 0.5. And we are the ones who have to bear that reality. Just when it was our turn to have our families, this happened. 6. Living in big cities. Human beings didn't evolve to live in such places. Our brains are simply not wired for such dense and chaotic environments. Construction noise, traffic congestion, lack of green spaces, lack of access to nature, unaffordable housing. For anyone trying to buy a house in a big city, you're well aware that what you're paying for a house in the suburbs of Vancouver, for example, can buy you a small castle in the south of France. That just gives you some perspective. Like, when I realized that what I will pay for a down payment where I live can buy me a full apartment, decent apartment in a villa in Sicily with sea view, I was mind blown. I was taken aback. Like, whoa. What am I doing here then? Well, I'm here because I need employment. My husband needs employment, like in-person employment. That's how we make a living. We need to be in a place where we can find opportunities, where we speak the language. You won't find that in a small village in Sicily when you don't even speak Italian. The noise and constant pace can lead to a sense of overcrowding and isolation, despite of being surrounded by people. 7, the 9-to-5 problem. Every day, another Gen Z goes viral on social media when they're sobbing because working a 9-to-5 job is too hard. And us millennials and the boomers laugh at them because we had to deal with this for forever, and it's kind of funny that they are not able to. But I'm kind of with the Gen Zers on this. Although 9 to 5 is a secure, decent way to make a living, it's not for everyone. Let's face it. 40 hours a week, nobody accounts for the meal prep time, for the commuting time, for the getting ready to leave the house time and look like a human, getting your children ready to leave the house if you have children. Like, my heart goes out to you if you have a toddler and you have to convince them to put on some pants or socks or a winter coat. Commuting time is such a waste of life. Dear God, don't let me start it on that. Then there's the emotional gymnastics of outsourcing your child's care and education, all while navigating office politics and just pretending you're not secretly daydreaming of vacation every moment of the day. And then you have 2 days in between to catch your breath and do laundry and clean your house and meal prep and socialize and do your groceries. The list goes on. 2 days. 2 days. 48 hours. Do I need to say more? I can definitely keep going. There are many other frustrating issues of modern life. Of course, I can also see the bright side of things. I love that we live in a time where sewage treatment is a thing, or, antibiotics exist. That's all great. But if we stop getting frustrated about the small things, or not even small things, some of the things and this list are pretty big, then we stop progressing. I think our generation is a little guilty of that. So let's not stop getting frustrated, okay? So what is the answer to all of this? What is the answer to everything that's wrong in the world? What could possibly be the one solution to all of this? The solution is being rich. Thanks for watching. Rich people don't have to sit in traffic. They can afford real estate. They get to escape prohibitive income tax. They own their money in different ways, through investment, to business, real estate. They can easily escape terrible government and move somewhere else. They can have as many kids as they like. They don't have to sell their time for money unless it's a lot of money. All the troubles us millennials are going through have no power over the rich. Now, if none of these things that I've said frustrates you, if you're fine with how modern life is, then maybe it's not for you. Maybe you'll see no advantage in being rich. And maybe you won't even get any value from this video. But if you're obsessed about these things like I am, if you're obsessed about solving these problems for yourself and others, if all you think about is, why don't I own a home yet? And how can I own it sooner? Or why do I have to send my 2-year-old to daycare and leave her there while she cries, not comprehending why her mom is leaving her there? Why can't I make money without committing so much of my time to a company? If you're that obsessed, if you're that determined to find a way out of the mediocrity, then you need to get rich. And how do you become rich, you may be asking? Well, you either get famous for no reason, go viral, or maybe very talented, like outstanding talented, or you inherited that money, or if none of those things are available to you, you become an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is the fastest lane to wealth. The incredible ability of solving society's problems in a systematic way for profit. That's entrepreneurship. That's how you create wealth and freedom for you and your family in the short to medium term. In the long term too, but that's how you get the most chances to do it sooner than in 40, 50 years, right? It doesn't always work, but it's the only way for us that are not famous or super talented or don't want to do anything illegal or degrading. I read this book, The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. DeMarco came up with 3 people categories in relation to wealth. The sidewalkers, the ones living paycheck to paycheck, who either cannot afford or are not really worried about the future and are not investing, or not, saving money. They're just living in the moment. The slow laners, those responsible salaried people who save 10% of their paycheck, invest, have an emergency fund, a mortgage. They're doing it all right, but it will take them 30, 40 years to be financially free if they survive, or, if they don't get fired or the economy goes through a big recession. Then there are the fast laners, the entrepreneurs, the producers, not consumers. They figured out an important need that people had. They came up with a systematic way to solve that need, satisfy that need, and their businesses thrive, and they either continue working because they love it, or they sell their businesses and do whatever the hell they want. Why am I bringing this up? Because this book opened my eyes to something. I once thought I was okay with being an employee for 40 years, to, having a family and sending my kids to daycare. I was okay with living modestly and retiring at age 65, 70. This is behind the reason why my husband and I left our home country, because even the basics like that are not guaranteed in a country like Brazil. And we just wanted a regular life in a safe place. But now I'm realizing, why would I want to just strive for the basics when I can get more out of life? It's also not guaranteed, but I want to at least try. Maybe doing the homework it's not enough. Saving 10, 15, hell, even 20% of your income. Having a nice 6-month emergency fund. Not spending a lot of money on stupid things. Being frugal. Paying your credit card in full before the due date, not having any debts, cooking your meals at home instead of eating out. Maybe all of that won't cut it. A lifetime of sacrifice, of saving for tomorrow, won't even get you there. Or it will get you there when you're too old to enjoy it. Yes, some people are able to do it, but MJ DeMarco's sometimes aggressive but fair point is the financial gurus that are telling you to save the last bit of your money and live so frugally that you don't even buy socks anymore. They didn't make the bulk of their money that way. They made the bulk of their money selling you books, courses, from ad revenue on YouTube and sponsorships. Sure, they might have learned to be frugal and they can give you some tips, but that's not how they make the money. And then when you make 5-10 million selling books, it doesn't really matter which stock you choose to invest, or if you follow the 50-30-20 budget rule. It doesn't matter. You can invest in a simple GIC for, a 5% interest rate, and you have enough to pay for all of your expenses and more, and you won't even have to respond to a boss ever again. What does that mean? Of course, save money, be a slow laner, do the homework, but also maybe consider investing your time and a little bit of your money too, and finding a way that you can solve people's problems. Start thinking in a way that you can impact millions, because that's how DeMarco says that you can make millions. When you solve problems of millions of people, that's how you make millions of dollars. Also, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can piggyback on a business idea that already exists, but you can do it better, serve the customer better, differentiate yourself a little bit from the competition, doing a no BS business. And again, being wealthy may not be your goal, and that's fine. I'm surprised you're still watching this video till now, but I want to at least make you question yourself. That's the goal. And before you think, oh my God, this crazy lady is saying that everyone needs to be rich and everyone can be rich. Well, that's not what I'm saying. If getting rich was easy, there would be a lot more millionaires out there. No, that's not what I'm saying. Also, we have to define rich. What is rich? What is wealthy? Scott Galloway is another of these gurus out there. He defines wealth as when you make enough passively to pay for your fixed expenses, the ones that you can't get away from, like your mortgage or rent, your grocery bill, your transportation, electricity, those sort of things. I don't know about you, but my monthly expenses are pretty okay, like compared to someone that lives in a big mansion in Montecito with 10 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms and needs security 24/7. $3,000 per month. That's like $1 million generating 5% interest. That's not that bad. You know, we're not talking $400 billion. We're not even talking $400 million. We're talking $1 million. $1 million is a lot for you and me that make 40, 60, 70,000 per year. Of course, it's a lot of money. But that's kind of nothing for an entrepreneur that has a successful business. So you see what I mean? When you don't need to worry about your non-discretionary expenses, you're wealthy. You're no longer a slave to the rat race. You're no longer a slave to the big city. You can do whatever you want. You're rich. You can have as many kids as you please. You can live wherever you please, not sit in traffic for 2 hours plus per day. This is why I think entrepreneurship is the only way out for our generation. It's our only shot. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, just hit the like button, please. For the millennials out there, stay strong, my friends. We'll get through this. And yeah, I will see you on the next one. Bye.